Mario Kart 8 is one of the most competitive Mario Karts in the series, and many circuits of the game were designed to have sharper curves and tighter turns. And 64 Royal Raceway is one of these high-tier tracks, and it's one of my personal favorites in the whole game. As I did for Yoshi's Circuit, today I would like to compare R to another Grand Prix, this time the Jewel of Japan, Suzuka GP. But before we race, roll the intro. Good day to everyone, Blue Fox here. And once again, we found ourselves racing in Formula 1 and in Mario Kart, putting in comparison two beloved circuits, Suzuka GP and Royal Raceway. Both are known especially for their complex circuit design, their legendary legacy, and the beautiful aesthetics both show. From the 19th to the 2020s, the two racetracks stood as great reps for their respective franchises. But what exactly makes them similar, so much so to call Royal Raceway Mario Kart Suzuka? A lot in fact, starting off with the legacy and the circuit's iconicness. Royal Raceway made its debut in 1996's Mario Kart 64, and it was remade from the ground up 18 years later in Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U and Nintendo Switch. In 2019, it appeared a third time in the mobile game Mario Kart Tour, consolidating the iconicness of the circuit among Mario Kart fans. The Switch version especially really gave new life to the circuit, upgrading it from a few green polygons into a masterpiece that shouts greatness. What really makes the circuit iconic is its location, Peach's Castle. This circuit may have been present in only 3 games, but every Mario Kart since 64 has a circuit dedicated to the Mushroom Kingdom. All the Mario circuits, from Double Dash to Mario Kart DS to the Wii and to MK7, featured a version of the castle and its surrounding. In a sense, Royal Raceway is the best embodiment of the Mario franchise. I mean, can you even think of something more Mario than the Mushroom Kingdom's castle? Likewise, Suzuka Grand Prix is the most iconic circuit in all of Japan, and one of the most recognizable names among Formula 1 fans. Japan is home to the biggest car industry of the world. From Honda to Nissan to Toyota to Subaru, the isle is synonymous with the car and the racing industry. The city of Suzuka itself is also home to a big historic Honda factory, making it a hotspot for automobile industry. Suzuka Circuit therefore has been featured in racing games since the 90s and never missed a title ever since. From the first 3D games to the PlayStation 2 to modern titles, Suzuka is always there. The parallel is simple. Suzuka and Royal Raceway both represent their location perfectly. Both are home to the core essence of racing in real life and in Mario Kart. The circuits are loved by both karters and racers, and there is no Grand Prix without them. Legacy is just the beginning though. The two circuits also share many characteristics regarding the racetracks themselves. Even if the kart racing genre has a different gameplay than traditional racing games, Nintendo still takes a lot of inspiration from the real world when she makes new Mario Kart circuits, Royal Raceway being no exception. In fact, I believe R has taken a lot of inspiration from the real-life Suzuka circuit, but let's go with order. Let's start by looking at both layouts. At first, they look quite different, but when you break them down, the similarities are more apparent. These are the 3 main components present in both circuits that showcase the similarities: the S-curves, the sharp turns, and the long straight roads. It's a bit hard to go with order since both circuits have these characteristics in different places, so since we're talking about Royal Raceway being Mario Kart Suzuka, we will follow Royal's order. Even if Royal Raceway is featured in the Banana Cup, the circuit itself is not easy at all, especially when you're playing at higher difficulties. This is very clear right at the start of the circuit, where very sharp turns are present. We're talking about 2 hook-shaped curves right off the start, as well as 3 sharp turns, not quite easy to pull off, especially at higher speeds like 150 and 200cc. Suzuka also has some notorious sharp turns, also 5. The first third, the Tanger curve, the Harpine, the Spoon curve, and the Castle Triangle. These curves are not easy to pull off, and they require attention and precision in both games, not to say they all look alike. After the challenging turns, both circuits have 2 long stretches of roads that are interconnected in the circuit. In Royal Raceway, one long stretch of road is actually a flying section, something that is unfortunately not the case in Suzuka. But regardless, both circuits have sections where racers acquire speed over 2 long trajectories. The placement of these stretches is also strategic in both games. In Suzuka and R, these stretches are placed after tedious curves, where racers lose speed, balancing the racer's pace. As a nice extra detail, both have a section that crosses another part of the track itself, something very rare in GP circuits and in Mario Kart alike. At last, the Nintendo circuit closes off with a particular S-curve pattern that often leads players to shortcuts. This section may look simple, but it's actually quite uncommon, because circuits usually have sharper curves to drift in. Suzuka GP also has this S formation. this time at the beginning of the race, that functions as a buffer zone, ideal for surprising and gaining the lead. Again, the sections like this are not the normal circuits around the world, making them quite unique to Suzuka. I could go further into detail on what makes them similar, but in this case I believe that images speaks more than words. As the final cherry on top, the two tracks also share some aesthetic elements, further making my faces stronger. While this is less obvious than in my previous video where I compare Yoshi's circuit to Monaco GP, these two tracks have somewhat similar feel. Royal Raceway is one of the few racetracks in Mario Kart that is somewhat realistic. Most of the time, players race in fantastic scenarios like mountain peaks, gold mines, and even in space, while less often they race in actual racetracks. R is one of these more standard-looking circuits, built right next to Peach's castle. Suzuka is also located right next to a famous landmark, that is Suzuka's Ferris wheel. Now, this might not be a castle, but I realized that having famous structures next to racetracks is not that common, so it is nice that the two tracks share this element. Finally, the trees around Peach's castle bloom in a bright pink color, indicating they are Japanese cherry blossom trees, known as sakura. Of course, these trees are present elsewhere in the world, but they are usually synonymous with Japan and Japanese culture, a symbol seen many times around many video games set in Japan. Suzuka Circuit, as mentioned earlier, is the definition of Japanese professional racing. It's where Japan GP takes place every year and is where Japan meets racing. So there you have it. N64 Royal Raceway is clearly inspired by Suzuka GP. These two iconic circuits share so much, and while I know that it might just be a coincidence, I do like to think R is in some way Mario Kart Suzuka. But what do you think? Is my Paragon absurd, or is my thesis somewhat credible? I'll let you decide. If you made it this far, chapeau, you're awesome. You're like the best one out there. Congrats. Now, if you like what I do, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know if you enjoyed these Mario Kart meets Grand Prix videos. It's a fun idea and I would not mind doing more videos about it. Any suggestions out there? Please let me know. But until then, arrivederci.